Hey everyone, and welcome! Today we're diving into a period in history that was just absolutely brilliant, the Islamic Golden Age. It was a time of unbelievable prosperity and development, all built on one powerful idea, that knowledge is everything. So let's see what that actually looks like. So to really get a handle on this era, you have to ask yourself a pretty big question. What actually happens when an entire civilization decides that gathering, protecting, and creating knowledge is its number one goal? Well, the answer, as you're about to see, is nothing short of spectacular. All right, so let's set the scene. We're heading back to the 8th century. All across the Islamic world, an incredible period of growth is kicking off. And I'm not just talking about land. I'm talking about huge leaps in science, art, math, and economics. And listen, this wasn't just some brief flash in the pan. We're talking about centuries of achievement. It all starts with a legendary library founded way back in the 8th century, and it continues for hundreds of years, producing incredible thinkers like Ibn Sina and Ibn Khaldun. This was a true, sustained golden age. So, you might be wondering, what was the engine driving all of this progress? Well, if you trace it all back, you'll find that so much of it started in one remarkable institution, located in a city that became the center of the known world. During the Abbasid era, the city of Baghdad, also known as the City of Peace, just exploded onto the world stage. It wasn't just a capital city. It was a global hub for culture, trade, and most importantly, for thinking. I mean, we're talking about one of the greatest, most vibrant cities on the entire planet at the time. And the crown jewel of Baghdad? That was the House of Wisdom. Its mission was simple, but honestly world-changing. Find all of the most important classical knowledge from around the globe and translate it all into Arabic. This place wasn't just a library, you know? It was an intellectual powerhouse. Okay, so what happens when you gather all that knowledge in one place? Well, the scholars there didn't just copy it down and put it on a shelf. Nope. They used it as a launchpad to build the future, and that led to some incredible breakthroughs in science and philosophy. Just look at medicine. You had people like Al-Razi, who was literally called the best doctor of his time. And then there was Ibn Sina. You might know him as Avicenna. He wrote a medical encyclopedia that was so detailed and so advanced that it was the go-to medical textbook in Europe for centuries. Just think about that legacy. And it wasn't just about the hard sciences. Thinkers like Ibn Khaldun were completely changing the game in the social sciences. His book on history, the Muqaddimah, is still seen as one of the most important works on the subject ever written. The guy was just way, way ahead of his time. Now, all of this incredible new thinking didn't just appear out of nowhere. It was built on a really deep respect for the past, and that gets us to the absolutely critical role of translation. By translating the works of Greek giants like Aristotle, these scholars literally saved ancient wisdom from being lost forever. And they didn't just save it. They argued with it, they built on it, and they created this amazing bridge of knowledge between civilizations. All this brain power also led to some amazing new tech. Take the astrolabe. Muslim astronomers took this instrument and perfected it, which let them map the positions of the stars with incredible accuracy. And this wasn't just for looking at the sky. It was a super practical, vital tool for navigation. It helped sailors and traders find their way across huge oceans and deserts. And of course, all of this intellectual ferment didn't just exist in books and libraries. It was happening inside a society that was remarkably prosperous and well-organized, which both supported and benefited from all this progress. You could even see major social shifts in day-to-day life. For instance, take a look at the rules on marriage. Before the Quran, men could marry pretty much as many women as they wanted. Quranic teachings, however, limited that number to 4. And at the same time, women gained some crucial new rights, like the right to have their own earnings and the right to inherit property. And speaking of marriage, you also had the custom of the dowry. This was basically a gift, money or property, that a man gave directly to his bride when they got married, highlighting these new marital agreements. And economically, wow, the Islamic world was an absolute powerhouse. There was this massive trade network, connected by ships and camel caravans that stretched all the way from Spain to China. I mean, look at this list of goods. Silk and porcelain from China, gold and slaves from Eastern Africa, sandalwood and spices from India, not to mention grain from Egypt and dates from Iraq. It was a truly global. And finally, an era this brilliant was bound to leave behind a physical legacy, right? And it did, in the form of some of the most stunning architecture you will ever see. You just have to look at the Great Mosque of Cordoba in Spain. It was built way, way back in 785. When you walk inside and see that forest of endless arches, it's just breathtaking. This building marked the grand arrival of Islamic architecture in Europe, and it's a space that still inspires total awe more than 1,000 years later. And Cordoba wasn't a one-off. This incredible architectural boom was happening all across the empire. You saw it in other amazing structures, like the great mosques of Kairouan and Samarra, but it was also in everyday spaces. The same incredible attention to beauty and detail went into public buildings, fountains, courtyards, and even marketplaces. So let's circle back to where we started with a final question for you. When you think about all the science, the philosophy, the art, and the prosperity of the Islamic Golden Age, you have to wonder, how different would our world be today without the knowledge that was so carefully saved and so brilliantly created during this amazing time? What do you think?